Welcome to Multicultural Musings. Today we're going to look at international traffic solutions. The first one I'm going to show you is the solution they found for cars turning left in big intersections. Keep in mind that in the US they're driving on the right-hand side of the road. So if you want to turn left at an intersection, you will cross the oncoming traffic, which could be hazardous. Michigan has reduced all the possibilities of turning left at big intersections by requiring drivers to continue past the intersection, making a U-turn, coming back the way they came, and then turning right into the street they were aiming for. At the U-turn spot, you're also allowed to turn left on a red traffic light if there is no traffic coming. The next thing I want to show you is the center lane in yellow. This lane has been created for cars that need a halfway safe spot to cross in front of oncoming traffic, and if necessary, also be lined up to merge into the traffic. So if I wanted to turn left, I could safely sit in this lane and not worry about being a hazard to vehicles behind me. Here I wanted you to see how US traffic lights hang on droopy lines across the road. In contrast, South African traffic lights, which are actually called robots for some reason, are set up on poles at the opposite end of the intersection. The location of these poles causes a great hazard for German tourists who are used to having the poles right at the start of the intersection, at the line where you stop, and many a tourist has unwittingly rolled into the intersection in order to line up with the lights. Note also how the outer lines on South African roads are painted in yellow and the inner lines in white, in contrast to the USA. And then here in the United Arab Emirates, the yellow lines are also on the edges of the road, as you can see here, and on the famous Sheikh Zayed Road. But paradoxically, this highway in the UAE has only white markings. Let's pop over to Germany to see their traffic solutions. Germany is dotted with towns and villages. As you get to the boundary of a town or village, you'll see a yellow sign like this with the town's name. The moment you pass that sign, the speed limit is strictly 50 kilometers an hour. As you leave the town, you'll see a sign like this, indicating that you're no longer within the town's boundary and you can speed up to generally about 100 kilometers an hour. Within a town's boundary, you could be required to go even slower than 50 kilometers an hour, as this sign indicates a speed limit of 30 kilometers an hour. And then there's the rule called rechts vor links. It means right before left. In Germany, they drive on the right-hand side of the road, and in order to ensure traffic calming and keeping a smooth flow of traffic in the suburbs, their solution is that any vehicle feeding onto a main road from the right-hand side has right-of-way, regardless of how small the feeder road is. So over here, any car coming from your right has right of way. And here too. And here as well. It was quite some time before I became aware of this rule, and I wonder how many near accidents I may have caused, thinking I had the right of way because I was on the bigger road. This solution prevents cars from speeding through suburbs, and if you think about it, also reduces the amount of paint needed for road markings. Everyone knows the rules. There's no need to paint stop and yield markings on the road. And of course we need to speak about the legendary Autobahn, which foreigners think have unlimited speed limits across Germany. That's not true. There are very few areas with no speed limit. People are always in awe that this even exists, and apparently many tourists head to Germany just for the opportunity to drive at high speeds. It's really important to remember why this is even possible on certain highways in Germany. The Germans are well-trained and disciplined drivers, and they only use the fast lane for overtaking and will return to a slower lane, and no one will ever overtake in a slow lane. Because everyone sticks to the rules, you can predict what other drivers will do, and so it's possible to allow drivers to travel at high speeds in certain areas. Now we're going to look at some unusual zebra crossings around the world. Here's a very stylish one in a small town in Sardinia, Italy. The generic name for a crossing like this around the world is the pedestrian scramble. The busiest one in the world is not surprisingly to be found in Tokyo, Japan. The Shibuya crossing has as many as 3,000 people crossing over every 2 minutes, and estimates say up to 500,000 people on busy days. Here's one in China. And here's a pedestrian scramble or X-crossing in London, filmed by my friend Gaynor. Let's hear her enthusiastic narrative as she demonstrates the crossing.
I hope for the sake of this video, it's going to change soon. It's telling me to wait. It's flashing. I can go. I'm walking across the road. Look how cool this is in the middle of this whole 4-road intersection. I've got 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7. Oh, I'm not counting very well. 4, 3, 2, 1. That is it.
I was thrilled to learn about this crossing in the town of Waalwijk in the Netherlands. It's a rainbow crossing which was initiated by a group of school kids tasked to improve their neighborhood. The objective of the crossing was twofold. One, as is traditional, was to provide a safe place to cross the road, and two was to recognize the gay community and gay children of the town. The rapid clicking sound advises those with visual impairments that it's safe to cross. What a fun and thoughtful initiative. Talking about fun, the Swedes have their warnings for a curve in the road in the colour of the Swedish flag. Very patriotic. Now let's have a quick look at how you fill up your vehicle in South Africa. There are no self-service stations in South Africa. You always have someone do it for you and to clean your windscreen. In Cambodia, we came across these stands selling petrol in cold drink bottles, so you could fill up just like that. Down under in Australia, they drive on the left-hand side of the road, and the city of Melbourne has the quirkiest traffic solution I've ever seen. If you want to turn right across the traffic, then you need to pull into the intersection into a demarcated lane on the left, just like this red vehicle, so as not to obstruct the traffic. Now, whilst waiting for the gap to turn right, you not only have to consider the oncoming traffic, but you also need to be watching the traffic coming up behind you. I found this one of the most stressful traffic solutions in the world, but I'm sure you get used to it. Here from another angle, you can see the right-hand turning lane, and across the intersection you can see the black car and white car waiting for the gap. They also have to wait for trams and buses. There's a lot to watch out for. The black car has found a gap, while the white car needs to wait for a tram. And finally gets to go as well, just as my friend Tony nearly gets taken out by a bus. Flashing green lights like these in Canada mean that a pedestrian could activate the light at any moment to cross, so you should be prepared for an unexpected stop. And finally, I'd love to hear your comments on the checkered curbs around the world. We had them in black and white in South Africa, and here's an image from Oman in yellow and black. I'm of the opinion that this is common in former British colonies, but I've not been able to substantiate this. So please let me know in the comments if you have curbs like this and what country you're from. Or maybe you're in the know and you can cast some light on my theory.